Admiral Zexter stood on the bridge of his massive warship, the Dominion's pride. His purple skin glowed with anger as he stared at the holographic display in front of him. Something was wrong, very wrong. "Sir, we have detected an unknown vessel approaching the Kepler 442 system," reported Lieutenant Vexenal, his voice trembling with worry. "It's huge, Admiral. Much bigger than anything we have on record." The Admiral's four eyes narrowed as he studied the readings. For over 3,000 years, the Galactic Empire had ruled the galaxy without challenge. Their energy weapons could destroy entire planets. Their quantum shields could stop any attack. No species had ever dared to challenge them. "How big?" Zexter demanded. "Nearly 3 kilometers long, sir. The sensors show massive armor plating and unknown weapon systems. It's unlike anything in our database." Zexter felt a chill run down his spine. The only species that might have such technology were the Andromedans, but they were fighting a war on the other side of the galaxy. This ship was in completely the wrong place. "Where did it come from?" he asked. "Unknown, sir. It just appeared on our sensors when it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The energy signature is strange. Not like anything we've seen before." Meanwhile, 300,000 kilometers away, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Phoenix Rising. He was a tall man with brown hair and tired eyes. He had been awake for 18 hours straight, making sure everything was ready for this moment. "Lisa, what's our position?" he asked his navigation officer. Lisa Carter checked her instruments. She was a young woman with short black hair and quick hands. "We're right where we planned to be, Captain. The Kepler 442 system is dead ahead." Jake nodded. After 15 years of secret construction, humanity's first deep spaceship was finally ready for its mission. The Phoenix Rising was built using technology they had learned from crashed alien probes. Every piece of metal, every circuit, every weapon had been designed with one goal in mind: to make sure humanity could survive their first meeting with alien civilizations. "Ryan, are our weapons ready?" Jake asked. Ryan Walsh, the weapons officer, was a big man with red hair and strong arms. He had served in the Earth Defense Force for 20 years. "All systems are green, Captain. The point defense guns are loaded and ready. The main cannons are charged. Amy, how are the engines?" Jake asked his chief engineer. Amy Rodriguez was a small woman with dark hair and smart eyes. She knew every bolt and wire on the ship. "Everything is running perfectly, Captain. All backup systems are online. We're ready for anything." Jake took a deep breath. Earth's leaders had sent them here to make peaceful contact with the galactic community. But they had also prepared for the worst. Humans had learned the hard way that it was better to be ready for war and not need it, than to need it and not be ready. "Open a channel to any alien ships in the area," Jake ordered. Back on the Dominion's Pride, Admiral Zexter was pacing back and forth. His officers were running scans, trying to figure out what kind of ship they were facing. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel," reported the communications officer. "Put it on screen," Zexter ordered. The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at a human face. Jake Morrison appeared on their screen, wearing a blue uniform with strange symbols on it. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Phoenix Rising," Jake said in broken galactic standard. His pronunciation was terrible, but the words were clear enough. "We come in peace. We seek to make contact with the galactic community." Zexter stared at the screen in shock. Earth? The primitive world that had barely discovered fire when the Empire first found it. "That was impossible. Earth," he whispered. "But the humans are primitives. They can barely leave their own planet." Lieutenant Vexenal checked the computer records. "According to our files, sir, humans use chemical rockets and have just discovered nuclear power. They are classified as a Level 2 civilization. Totally harmless. Then explain that ship. Zexter roared, pointing at the display showing the massive human vessel on the Phoenix Rising. Jake was waiting for a response. He had studied the Empire's language for years, but he was still not very good at it. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures from multiple ships," Lisa reported. "They have us surrounded." Jake's jaw tightened. This was exactly what they had feared. "How many ships?" "At least 50, sir. Maybe more." "They're all armed." Ryan's hands moved to his weapon controls. "Captain, should I prepare for combat?" "Not yet," Jake said. "Let's see what they want first." The screen flickered again, and Admiral Zexter appeared. He was a tall alien with purple skin and 4 eyes. His face looked angry and confused. "Human vessel," Zexter said in perfect English. "You will surrender immediately. Prepare to be boarded and inspected." Jake felt his heart racing. This was not going well. "Admiral, we are on a peaceful mission. We only want to talk." "Peaceful?" Zexter laughed. "You arrive in a massive warship, more powerful than anything in our fleet, and claim to be peaceful? Do you think we are fools? This is not a warship." Jake protested. "This is an exploration vessel." "An exploration vessel?" Zexter's voice was full of disbelief. "With armor plating thick enough to stop our biggest guns? With weapon systems we cannot even identify? You will surrender now, or we will destroy you." Amy looked at her captain with worry in her eyes. "Sir, their weapons are charging. Multiple ships are targeting us." Jake closed his eyes for a moment. Humanity had spent 15 years building this ship, preparing for this moment. They had learned from every war, every battle, every mistake in human history. The Phoenix Rising was designed to survive anything the galaxy could throw at it. "Admiral," Jake said calmly, "we do not wish to fight, but we will defend ourselves if attacked." Zexter's eyes widened. Was this human actually threatening him? Threatening the mighty Galactic Empire? "You dare threaten us?" he demanded. "We have ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. We have weapons that can destroy stars. We have ships that can travel faster than light. And you, a primitive from a backward world, dare to threaten us?" "I am not threatening you," Jake replied. "I am simply stating a fact. We came here in peace, but we are prepared for war." The Admiral stared at the human captain. Something was very wrong here. The humans were supposed to be primitives. They were supposed to be afraid. They were supposed to beg for mercy. Instead, this human was looking at him with calm, steady eyes, as if he was not afraid at all. "Sir," Lieutenant Vexenal whispered, "the human ship is not raising shields. It's not taking any defensive actions at all." "What?" Zexter looked at his tactical display. The human ship was just sitting there, as if 50 Imperial warships meant nothing to it. "They're either very confident or very stupid," the tactical officer reported. "ZEX single quotes star made a decision. Launch fighters. Escort that ship to detention facility Alpha 7. If they resist, destroy them." 20 Imperial fighters launched from the Dominion's Pride. They were sleek, fast ships with powerful energy weapons. They had never been defeated in battle. On the Phoenix Rising, Ryan watched the fighters approach. "Captain, 20 fighters. Incoming. They're moving to escort positions." Jake looked at his crew. Lisa was watching her navigation screens. Amy was monitoring the ship's systems. Ryan was ready at the weapons console. They were all ready. "Ryan," Jake said quietly, "if they try to force us to go somewhere we don't want to go, stop them." Ryan nodded. "Yes, sir." The fighters surrounded the Phoenix Rising, trying to force it toward the detention facility. But Jake had his orders from Earth. The Phoenix Rising would not be captured. It would not be boarded. It would complete its mission or die trying. "Human vessel," came the voice of the fighter squadron leader. "Follow us immediately or we will open fire." Jake looked at Ryan and nodded. What happened next would change the galaxy forever. Ryan Walsh's fingers moved across the weapon controls like lightning. The Phoenix Rising's point defense systems came online in less than 2 seconds. Hundreds of small cannons turned toward the Imperial fighters surrounding them. "Firing," Ryan said calmly. The space around the Phoenix Rising erupted in flashes of light. But these were not energy weapons like the aliens expected. These were solid metal projectiles moving at incredible speed. Tungsten rods the size of pencils, fired by magnetic accelerators, tore through space at 50 kilometers per second. The Imperial fighters had shields designed to stop energy beams. They had armor meant to deflect plasma bolts. But they had nothing that could stop solid metal moving faster than a bullet. The first fighter exploded when 3 tungsten rods punched through its hull. The second fighter tried to dodge, but the Phoenix Rising was firing hundreds of projectiles every second. The third fighter's pilot screamed as his ship was torn apart. In 10 seconds, all 20 fighters were destroyed. On the bridge of the Dominion's Pride, Admiral Zexter watched in horror as his entire fighter squadron vanished from the tactical display. "What happened?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir," the tactical officer replied, his voice shaking. "The human ship fired some kind of weapon. Our fighters just disappeared." "Impossible," Zexter whispered. "Those fighters had the best shields in the fleet. What kind of weapon could destroy them so quickly?" Lieutenant Vexenal was studying the sensor data. "Sir, the human ship didn't use energy weapons. They fired solid projectiles, thousands of them." "Solid projectiles?" Zexter couldn't believe it. "You mean they threw rocks at our fighters?" "Not rocks, sir. Metal rods moving at extreme velocity. Our shields couldn't stop them because they weren't designed to stop physical objects moving that fast." "Admiral," Zexter felt his blood turn cold. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Empire had fought wars using energy weapons and shields. Every species in the galaxy fought the same way. It was the natural evolution of warfare. But these humans were using primitive weapons in ways that made them incredibly deadly. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human ship," the communications officer reported. Jake Morrison appeared on the screen again. But this time, his face was harder, more serious. "Admiral," Jake said, "we did not want to fight. But you sent fighters to force us to surrender. We defended ourselves. We ask again for peaceful contact." Zexter stared at the human captain. 20 of his best pilots were dead, and this human was talking about peace as if nothing had happened. "You destroyed my fighters," Zexter said through gritted teeth. "You sent them to capture us," Jake replied. "We will not be captured. We will not be forced to go anywhere against our will. But we still want to talk." "Talk?" Zexter was getting angrier by the second. "You kill my pilots and then want to talk?" "Your pilots attacked us first," Jake said calmly. "We have recordings of everything. We acted in self-defense." On the Phoenix Rising, Amy Rodriguez was monitoring the alien ship's energy readings. "Captain, they're charging their main weapons. Multiple ships are targeting us." Jake nodded. He had expected this. "All hands, prepare for combat. This is not a drill." Throughout the ship, human crew members moved to battle stations. The Phoenix Rising had been built by people who understood war. Every system had backups. Every section could be sealed off. Every crew member knew their job. "Lisa, evasive maneuvers," Jake ordered. "Sir, we're too big to dodge effectively," Lisa replied. "The ship weighs over 2 million tons. Then don't dodge. Just angle our armor to deflect their shots." This was the moment that would prove whether 15 years of paranoid human engineering would pay off. The Phoenix Rising had been designed by engineers who assumed alien weapons would be incredibly powerful. They had built the ship to survive attacks that could destroy planets. "Ryan, return fire only on ships that shoot at us first," Jake ordered. "We're still trying to avoid a war." Admiral Zexter made his decision. "All ships, open fire. Destroy that human vessel." 50 Imperial warships fired at once. Plasma beams that could melt mountains struck the Phoenix Rising from every direction. The energy released was enough to power a small planet for a year, but something impossible happened. The human ship didn't explode. It didn't even slow down. The Phoenix Rising's outer armor began to glow and burn away, but underneath was more armor, and under that was even more armor. The ship had been built in layers, like an onion. Each layer was designed to absorb and deflect different types of attacks. "Direct hits on the human vessel," reported the tactical officer. "But sir, they're still intact. Their armor is absorbing our plasma beams." Zexter couldn't believe what he was seeing. Increased power. "All ships, maximum firepower." The Imperial fleet fired again, this time with even more power. Space around the Phoenix Rising turned white-hot from the energy being released. But still, the human ship survived. Amy was watching her damage reports. "Captain, outer armor is at 60%. Hull temperature rising, but still within acceptable limits. All primary systems operational." "How is that possible?" Jake asked. "The armor is working exactly as designed," Amy explained. "The outer layers burn away, but they carry the heat with them. The inner layers stay cool. We can take this punishment for hours if we need to." Jake opened a channel to Admiral Zexter. "Admiral, please stop firing. We do not wish to hurt anyone else." On the Imperial flagship, Zexter was staring at his tactical display in shock. His fleet had just fired enough energy to destroy a small moon, and the human ship was barely damaged. "Sir, the human ship is returning fire," the tactical officer reported. The Phoenix Rising's main cannons fired for the first time. But like the point defense weapons, these were not energy beams. These were massive metal slugs, each one weighing several tons, fired by magnetic accelerators at incredible speed. The first slug hit the Imperial battlecruiser Mighty Conquest. The ship's shields flared and failed instantly. The metal projectile punched through the hull like it was made of paper. The battlecruiser exploded in a ball of fire. "The Mighty Conquest is gone," someone reported in a shocked voice. "One shot," Zexter whispered. "They destroyed the Mighty Conquest with one shot." Lieutenant Vexenol was frantically checking the sensor readings. "Sir, that wasn't an energy weapon either. It was a solid projectile weighing approximately 5 tons, moving at 200 kilometers per second. How is that possible?" Zexter demanded. "I don't know, sir. The amount of energy required to accelerate that much mass to that speed should be impossible for a ship that size." What the aliens didn't understand was human engineering philosophy. Where aliens built elegant, efficient weapons, humans built weapons that were simple, reliable, and incredibly powerful. The Phoenix Rising's main guns were basically giant railguns, using magnetic fields to throw metal slugs at tremendous speed. The human ship fired again. Another Imperial vessel exploded. "All ships retreat to safe distance," Zexter ordered. "Maintain targeting, but do not fire unless I give the order." The Imperial fleet pulled back, leaving the Phoenix Rising alone in space. The human ship stopped firing and just waited. Jake opened the communication channel again. "Admiral, we have shown that we can defend ourselves. We have also shown that we do not want to fight unnecessarily. We destroyed 2 of your ships only after you attacked us first. Can we please talk now?" Zexter was quiet for a long moment. His mind was racing, trying to understand what he was facing. This human ship was more powerful than anything in the Imperial fleet, but the humans were still asking for peace. "Captain Morrison," he said finally, "what kind of ship is that?" Jake looked confused. This is an exploration vessel, Admiral. We built it to explore space and make contact with other civilizations. An exploration vessel? Zexther's voice was full of disbelief. With armor that can withstand our heaviest weapons? With guns that can destroy our battleships with single shots? What kind of exploration vessel needs such weapons? Jake was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that chilled Zexther too. The bone. Admiral, this is what humans consider a lightly armed exploration ship. We built it to survive in unknown space, against unknown enemies. We hoped we would never need the weapons, but we learned long ago that it is better to have them and not need them than to need them and not have them. Lightly armed? Zexther whispered, Yes, sir. Our real warships are much more heavily armed. Than this, Zexther felt the deck of his ship seem to spin beneath his feet. If this was a lightly armed exploration vessel, what were human warships like? For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Zexther was truly afraid. News of the human ship spread through the Galactic Empire like wildfire. Within hours, every military base, every command center, every government building was buzzing with reports about the impossible vessel that had destroyed 2 Imperial warships. With ease, Fleet Admiral Korthax was in his office on the capital world when the emergency message arrived. He was an old alien with gray skin and 6 arms, a veteran of 100 battles. He had never lost a fight in his long career. Sir, urgent message from Admiral Zexther in the Kepler system, his aide reported. Korthax read the message twice. Then read it again. It was impossible. Humans were primitives. They barely had space travel. They certainly didn't have warships that could challenge the Empire. Prepare my flagship, he ordered. Gather the 3rd, 7th, and 9th battle groups. We leave immediately. Sir, that's over 200 ships, the aide said nervously. Are you sure we need that many for one human vessel? Korthax looked at the message again. 2 Imperial warships destroyed. 20 fighters gone. An entire fleet forced to retreat. Yes, he said grimly. We need every ship we can get. Meanwhile, on the Phoenix Rising, Captain Jake Morrison was trying to figure out what to do next. The alien fleet was still out there, watching them. More ships were arriving every hour. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures approaching, Lisa Carter reported. Looks like a lot more ships are coming. Jake rubbed his tired eyes. How many? At least 50 more, sir, maybe 100. They're still too far away to get an exact count. Amy Rodriguez looked up from her engineering console. Sir, we're in trouble. Our armor held up well, but we can't fight hundreds of ships. We'll run out of ammunition eventually. What about our communication systems? Jake asked. Can we contact Earth? Not from here, Amy replied. We're too far away. The signal would take weeks to reach home. Ryan Walsh was checking his weapon systems. Captain, we still have most of our ammunition. But if they bring enough ships, we're going to have a problem. Jake nodded. This was the situation they had trained for, but hoped never to face. The Phoenix Rising was powerful, but it was still just one ship. If the aliens brought their entire fleet, even human engineering couldn't save them. Lisa, open a channel to the alien admiral, Jake ordered. Admiral Zexther appeared on the screen. He looked older than before, more worried. Captain Morrison, I have been ordered to wait for reinforcements. More ships are coming. Admiral, we still want to talk peacefully, Jake said. We don't want to fight your entire fleet. Then surrender, Zexther replied. Come aboard my ship. Let us inspect your vessel. Prove that you are really here for peace. Jake shook his head. We cannot do that. Our orders are clear. We cannot allow our ship to be captured or boarded. Then you will die when our reinforcements arrive, Zexther said bluntly. Fleet Admiral Korthax is coming with over 200 ships. Even your powerful vessel cannot fight that many. The communication ended, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts. He walked to the observation deck and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was waiting for news of their mission. Humanity's first contact with alien civilization was turning into a disaster. "Sir?" Amy had followed him to the observation deck. "What are we going to do?" "I don't know," Jake admitted. "We came here to make friends, not to start a war." "Maybe we should try a different approach," Amy suggested. "Instead of just talking about peace, maybe we should show them what humans are really like." Jake looked at her. "What do you mean?" "I've been listening to their communications," Amy explained. "They're not just afraid of our weapons, they're afraid of us. They think we're some kind of super warriors who came here to conquer the galaxy." "But we're not," Jake protested. "I know that, and you know that," Amy said. "But they don't know that. All they see is a ship that can destroy their best vessels with ease. They see weapons they don't understand. They see armor that can stop their most powerful attacks." Jake thought about this. "So what do you suggest?" "We show them who we really are," Amy said. "We show them human culture, human history, human values. We show them that we're not conquerors, we're explorers." Jake nodded slowly. "That might work." "But how do we do it?" "We broadcast everything," Amy said. "Music, art, literature, history. We show them our cities, our families, our hopes and dreams. We show them that humans are more than just weapons and armor." Within an hour, the Phoenix Rising was broadcasting on every frequency the Empire used. The aliens found themselves listening to human music, watching human movies, reading human poetry. They saw images of Earth's cities, its oceans, its forests. They saw human children playing, human families celebrating, human artists creating beautiful things. But instead of making the aliens feel better, the broadcasts made them more afraid. On the Dominion's Pride, Lieutenant Vexenol was studying the human transmissions. "Sir, you need to see this," he told Admiral Zexter. "What is it?" The Admiral asked. "The human historical records, sir. They're disturbing." Zexter looked at the data. What he saw made his blood run cold. The humans had fought hundreds of wars. They had survived plagues that killed millions. They had built cities, seen them, destroyed, and built them again. They had split the atom, poisoned their own planet, and then found ways to clean it up. "Look at this," Vexenol said, pointing to a section about human military history. "They've been fighting each other for thousands of years. Even their early weapons were incredibly deadly. And they never gave up. No matter how bad things got, they kept fighting." Zexter studied the records more carefully. He saw images of human soldiers fighting in terrible conditions. He saw humans rebuilding after disasters. He saw humans working together to solve impossible problems. "Sir," Vexenol continued, "according to these records, humans have survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, nuclear wars, and global pandemics. They've lived through things that would have destroyed most species, and they came out stronger each time." "That's impossible," Zexter whispered. "It gets worse, sir. Look at their technology development. They went from primitive tools to space travel in just a few thousand years. Most species take tens of thousands of years to develop spaceflight. Humans did it in a fraction of the time." Admiral Zexter was beginning to understand why the human ship was so powerful. These weren't just lucky primitives who had found some advanced technology. These were survivors. These were fighters. These were people who had spent their entire history preparing for the worst possible situations. "Sir, incoming transmission." From Fleet Admiral Korth X, the communications officer reported. The main screen flickered, and Fleet Admiral Korth X appeared. He was aboard his massive flagship, the Galactic Dominion, surrounded by hundreds of other ships. "Admiral Zexter." "I have arrived with reinforcements," Korth X announced. "Where is this human vessel that has caused so much trouble?" "Right there, sir," Zexter pointed to the tactical display. The Phoenix Rising. It's been broadcasting human cultural data for the past several hours. Korthax studied the display. The human ship looked small compared to his massive fleet. This is the vessel that destroyed 2 of our warships? Yes, sir, and it did it easily. Impossible. 1 ship cannot stand against 200. Order them to surrender immediately. Sir, I don't think you understand, Zexter said nervously. This isn't an ordinary ship. The humans aren't an ordinary species. I've been studying their broadcasts. They're what? Korthax demanded. They're survivors, sir. They've spent their entire history preparing for war. Their ship isn't just a warship. It's a fortress. It's designed to fight against impossible odds and win. Korthax looked at the tactical display again. The Phoenix Rising was still just sitting there, not moving, not threatening anyone. But somehow it didn't look small anymore. It looked dangerous. Open a channel to the human vessel, he ordered. Jake Morrison appeared on the screen. He looked tired but determined. Fleet Admiral, I assume you're here to destroy us. That depends on you, human, Korthax replied. Surrender now, and we will treat you well. Refuse, and we will destroy you. We cannot surrender, Jake said calmly. But we still hope to avoid a war. 1 ship against 200, Korthax said. You cannot win. Jake looked directly at the Fleet Admiral. Sir, with respect, you don't understand humans very well. We don't fight to win. We fight to survive. And we're very good at surviving. The communication ended, leaving Korthax staring at the screen. Around him, his officers were studying the human broadcasts, learning about human history and culture. What they were finding was making them more and more nervous. Sir, one of his staff officers said quietly, I think we may have a problem. The news spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Reports about the human ship reached rebel groups fighting the Empire on distant worlds. They reached independent traders in neutral space. They reached every corner of the galaxy, where people dreamed of freedom from imperial rule. On the mining world of Kepler 438b, rebel leader Dexman read the reports with growing excitement. For years, his people had fought against imperial occupation with primitive weapons and desperate courage. Now somewhere in space, there was a species that could fight the Empire and win. Send a message to all rebel cells, he ordered his communications officer. Tell them about the humans. Tell them that someone has finally stood up to the Empire. Similar scenes were playing out on dozens of worlds. Rebel groups that had been hiding in caves and fighting hopeless battles suddenly had new hope. If the humans could destroy Imperial warships, maybe they would help others fight for freedom. In the Vega sector, Rebel Commander Tel Sarah was planning a desperate attack on an Imperial supply convoy when the news arrived. She had been ready to sacrifice her entire fleet for a slim chance of success. Now she had a different idea. Change course, she ordered her pilots. We're going to the Kepler system. But Commander, that's 3 days away, her second-in-command protested. The humans are there, Telsara explained. If they're really as powerful as the reports say, maybe they'll help us. Back in the Kepler system, Fleet Admiral Korthax was facing the biggest decision of his military career. His sensors showed that rebel ships were heading toward their position from multiple directions. If the rebels arrived while the Imperial fleet was fighting the humans, it could turn into a disaster. Sir, we're detecting at least 50 rebel ships approaching from the Vega sector, his intelligence officer reported. More ships are coming from other directions. How long until they arrive? Korthax asked. The first group will be here in 6 hours, sir. Korthax studied the tactical display. The human ship was still sitting in the middle of his fleet, seemingly unconcerned about being outnumbered 200 to 1. Around them, Imperial ships maintained their positions, weapons charged and ready. Sir, incoming priority message from the capital. His communications officer announced. The face of Imperial Chancellor Vorthek appeared on the screen. He was the second most powerful person in the Empire, and he looked worried. Fleet Admiral. The Chancellor said, I need to know exactly what you're facing out there. The Senate is in emergency session. Some senators are calling for immediate military action against Earth. Others want to negotiate. I need facts. Chancellor, the situation is complex, Korthax replied. The human vessel is more powerful than anything in our fleet. But they claim to be here for peaceful exploration. Peaceful? Chancellor Vorthek's voice was sharp. They've destroyed 2 of our ships. Only after we attacked them first, sir. They've been asking for negotiations since they arrived. And now we have reports of rebel ships heading to your position. This could turn into the biggest military crisis in our history. Korthax nodded grimly. Yes, sir. If the rebels join forces with the humans, we could lose control of entire sectors. That cannot be allowed to happen, the Chancellor said firmly. The Empire has ruled for 3,000 years. We will not be brought down by primitives and rebels. After the communication ended, Korthax turned to his staff. Options? We could attack the human ship before the rebels arrive, suggested his weapons officer. Concentrate all our firepower on one target. The human ship has already proven. It can survive our weapons, Korthax replied. And if we attack, we'll definitely be at war with them. We could try to capture the human crew, suggested another officer. Board the ship, take prisoners. Their ship is designed to prevent boarding. Korthax said. It would be like trying to capture a fortress. Admiral Zexther spoke up from his position on the Dominion's Pride. Sir, I've been monitoring their communications. The humans are still asking to talk. Maybe we should listen. Talk to primitives? The weapons officer scoffed. The Empire doesn't negotiate with inferior species. Are they inferior? Zexther asked quietly. Their ship is more advanced than ours. Their weapons are more effective than ours. Their armor is stronger than ours. Maybe we're the inferior ones. The bridge fell silent. No one in the Empire had ever suggested such a thing before. On the Phoenix Rising, Captain Jake Morrison was holding an emergency meeting with his senior staff. The situation was getting worse by the hour. Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildups from the alien fleet. Lisa Carter reported. They're preparing for a major attack. How many ships are targeting us? Jake asked. All of them, sir. Over 200 vessels have weapons locked onto our position. Amy Rodriguez looked up from her engineering console. Sir, even with our armor, we can't survive that much firepower. Not for long. Ryan Walsh was studying his tactical display. Captain, I've been analyzing their ship designs. They're built for fighting other aliens, not for fighting us. But they have numbers on their side, Jake nodded. What about those rebel ships that are approaching? Still several hours away, Lisa replied. But if they join the fight, this whole system is going to turn into a war zone. Jake made a decision. Open a channel to Fleet Admiral Korthax. The alien commander appeared on the screen. He looked tired and stressed. Fleet Admiral, Jake said. We need to talk. Not as enemies, but as 2 military commanders who want to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. You are in no position to make demands, human, Korthax replied. You are outnumbered 200 to 1. Yes, we are, Jake agreed. But you know what will happen if you attack us. Some of your ships will survive, but many will not. And then, the rebels will arrive and you'll have to fight them with a damaged fleet. Korthax was quiet for a moment. The human was right. Even if they destroyed the Phoenix Rising, the cost would be enormous. What do you propose? He asked finally. Let me come aboard your ship, Jake said. Alone, no weapons, no backup. Let me explain who we really are and why we're here. That's suicide, sir, Amy whispered. Jake ignored her. Fleet Admiral, I'm willing to risk my life to prevent a war. Are you willing to risk yours to hear the truth? Korth-Ax stared at the human captain. In 3,000 years of Imperial history, no enemy commander had ever offered to surrender himself to prevent bloodshed. It was either a trick, or this human was unlike anyone the Empire had ever encountered. You would come aboard my ship. Alone? Korth-Ax asked. Yes, Jake replied. But I want something in return. While I'm on your ship, your fleet does not attack my crew. And when the rebel ships arrive, you don't attack them either. Give me 1 hour to explain everything. And if I don't like what you have to say, then you can destroy us all, Jake said simply. But at least you'll understand what you're destroying. Korth-Ax looked around his bridge. His officers were watching him, waiting for his decision. Outside, 200 Imperial warships waited for orders. In a few hours, rebel ships would arrive, and the situation would become even more complicated. Very. Well, he said finally, you may come aboard. But if this is a trick, your ship and crew will be destroyed immediately. Understood, Jake replied. I'll take a shuttle over in 10 minutes. After the communication ended, Jake turned to his crew. Amy, you're in command while I'm gone. If something happens to me, take the ship home and tell Earth what we learned. Here, sir, you can't go over there alone, Ryan protested. It's too dangerous. It's the only way, Jake said. Maybe if they see that humans are willing to sacrifice themselves for peace, they'll understand that we're not the monsters they think we are. As Jake prepared to leave for the alien ship, neither side knew that their meeting would change the course of galactic history. In the shuttle bay of the Phoenix Rising, one man was about to bet everything on the hope that understanding could triumph over fear. The shuttle launched into space, carrying humanity's hopes toward an uncertain future. Jake Morrison's shuttle docked with the Galactic Dominion exactly 10 minutes later. As he stepped out of the small craft, he was surrounded by 20 Imperial guards. They were tall aliens with blue skin and 4 arms, each carrying weapons that could have destroyed a building. Captain Morrison, one of the guards said in broken English, you will come with us. No sudden movements. Jake nodded and followed them through the corridors of the massive alien ship. Everything was huge. Compared to human designs, the ceilings were 5 meters high, the hallways were wide enough for vehicles, and the walls were covered with strange symbols and lights. Fleet Admiral Korth-Ax was waiting in his command center. It was a circular room with dozens of screens, showing tactical information about the fleet. The Admiral himself was even more impressive in person than on the communication screen. He stood 3 meters tall, with gray skin and 6 powerful arms. So, Korth-Ax said, studying Jake carefully, you are the human who has caused so much trouble. I didn't mean to cause trouble, Jake replied. We came here to make friends. Friends? Korth-Ax laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Your ship destroys our vessels, and you call it friendship? We defended ourselves, Jake said calmly. Your ships attacked us first. We only fired back when we had no choice. Korth-Ax walked around Jake, looking at him from all angles. You are small, he observed. Weak-looking. How does such a tiny species build such powerful ships? We've had a lot of practice, Jake replied. Admiral, can I show you something? Korth-Ax nodded, and Jake pulled out a small device. It projected a holographic image of Earth floating in the air between them. This is our home, Jake said. A beautiful world, but a dangerous one. Look closer. The image zoomed in to show Earth's surface. Korth-Ax could see huge storms, massive earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. He saw ice covering vast areas, then melting and flooding the land. Our planet tries to kill us regularly, Jake explained. Ice ages that last thousands of years. Volcanic eruptions that block out the sun. Earthquakes that destroy entire cities. We learn to survive by being ready for anything. The image changed to show human history. Korthak saw humans fighting giant predators with stone tools. He saw them surviving in frozen wastelands and burning deserts. He saw them building shelters that could withstand hurricanes and earthquakes. We didn't become strong because we wanted to conquer anyone, Jake continued. We became strong because we had to, or we would die. Korthax was quiet, studying the images. But your weapons, he said finally. They are so advanced. Yes, Jake agreed. Because we learned that in a dangerous universe, it's better to be ready for war and not need it, than to need it and not be ready. The image changed again, showing the construction of the Phoenix Rising. Korthax could see thousands of humans working together, building the massive ship piece by piece. We spent 15 years building our ship, Jake explained. Every human on Earth contributed something. Scientists designed the systems. Engineers built the parts. Workers assembled everything. Artists painted the decorations. Children sent messages of hope to put in the ship's memory banks. Your entire species worked on one ship? Korthax asked, surprised. Our entire species worked on our dream of joining the galactic community, Jake corrected. This ship represents the best of what humanity can do when we work together. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the galactic dominion. One of Korthax's officers ran into the command center. Sir, urgent message from the sensor stations. We're detecting a massive asteroid heading for the civilian station at Altair 7. It will impact in 43 minutes. Korthax's face went pale. How many people are on that station? Over 50,000, sir, mostly families of Imperial workers. Can we evacuate them in time? No, sir. Our fastest ships would take 2 hours to reach them. Korthax turned to Jake. Captain Morrison, I need to end our meeting. We have an emergency. What kind of emergency? Jake asked. Korthax explained about the asteroid and the civilian station. Jake listened carefully, then asked, how big is the asteroid? Approximately 5 kilometers across, moving at high speed. If it hits the station, everyone will die. Jake was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he said something that shocked everyone in the room. We can stop it. What? Korthax stared at him. How? The Phoenix Rising is big enough and strong enough to ram the asteroid. We can break it apart or knock it off course. That would destroy your ship, Korthax pointed out. And probably kill your crew. Maybe, Jake agreed. But 50,000 innocent people will live. Korthax couldn't believe what he was hearing. You would sacrifice your ship and crew to save our people? People you've never met? Yes, Jake said simply. It's the right thing to do. Without waiting for permission, Jake activated his communicator. Phoenix Rising, this is the captain. Amy, do you copy? Amy Rodriguez's voice came through clearly. Yes, sir. Are you all right? I'm fine. Listen carefully. There's a civilian station in danger. Asteroid impact in about 40 minutes. We need to intercept. Sir, that would mean ramming the asteroid with our ship. We probably won't survive. No, but 50,000 civilians will die if we don't act. What's our status? There was a brief pause. Then Amy's voice came back, steady and determined. All systems ready, Captain. We can do it. Are you sure about this? Jake asked his crew. We didn't come this far to let innocent people die, Ryan Walsh's voice added. We're ready, sir, Lisa Carter spoke next. Course laid in, Captain. We can reach the asteroid in 38 minutes. Jake looked at Fleet Admiral Korthax. Admiral, we need to go now. Will you let us pass? Korthax stared at the human captain. For a long moment, then he activated his own communicator. All ships, this is Fleet Admiral Korthax. Clear a path for the human vessel. They are on a rescue mission. Sir? His tactical officer asked in confusion. Should we assist them? Our ships aren't strong enough to ram an asteroid and survive, Korthax replied. Only the human ship can do this. Jake shook hands with the fleet admiral. Thank you, sir. If we don't make it, please tell Earth that we tried to make peace. If you survive this, Korthak said quietly, I will personally recommend that humanity be welcomed into the galactic community with full honors. Jake ran back to his shuttle and flew to the Phoenix Rising as fast as possible. As soon as he was aboard, Amy engaged the engines. The massive human ship turned and accelerated toward the asteroid. Time to impact? Jake asked as he reached the bridge. 34 minutes, Lisa reported. The asteroid is moving fast. This is going to be close. The Phoenix Rising flew through the Imperial fleet, which parted to let them pass. On every alien ship, crews watched in amazement as the human vessel headed toward certain destruction to save people they had never met. 20 minutes to impact, Lisa announced. All hands prepare for collision, Jake ordered over the ship's communication system. Seal all compartments. Secure all equipment. This is going to be rough. Amy was monitoring the ship systems. Captain, I've rerouted power from life support to structural integrity fields. We'll have about 10 minutes of air after impact, assuming we survive. 10 minutes to impact, Lisa called out. Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. Lisa was focused on her navigation console. Ryan was preparing the weapons to fire at the asteroid as they approached. Amy was managing the ship's systems to give them the best chance of survival. It's been an honor serving with you all, Jake said. 5 minutes to impact. The Phoenix Rising slammed into the 5-kilometer asteroid at tremendous speed. The ship's armored nose punched deep into the rock and ice. The impact was so violent that it could be seen from light years away. The asteroid broke apart into thousands of small pieces that scattered harmlessly into space. The civilian station was saved, but what happened to the Phoenix Rising and her crew would become a legend that changed the galaxy forever.